Hello everyone. You are listening to this audiobook on channel Voice of Purpose by NSS IIT Bombay.
The 19th century was a very eventful period. It saw the rise of democracy, the dawn of the industrial age, and many other era-defining changes. Many of the books that we admire today as classics were written during this period. Literature and art flourished as many renowned authors and playwrights gained recognition for their works. Let us learn more about one such acclaimed poet, Oscar Wilde. Oscar Wilde was born in Dublin in 1854. His mother, Jane Wilde, was a revolutionary poet and author. She was undoubtedly the source of his interest towards literature and the career he pursued later in life. He attended Trinity College in Dublin, where he studied Greek literature. He was an outstanding student and distinguished himself as a classical scholar of great aptitude. After winning a scholarship, he attended Magdalen College in Oxford to continue his studies. While pursuing his degree in Magdalen, he established quite the reputation for himself. He wore peculiar clothes and stood out among his peers with his mannerisms. He became an ardent advocate of aestheticism, also known as the aesthetic movement. Aestheticism is an art movement that emerged in the late 19th century, headed by two of Oscar Wilde's tutors, Walter Pater and John Ruskin. Put simply, it centered on the doctrine that art exists for the sake of its beauty alone, and that it needs no other purpose. His famous quote, "I find it harder and harder every day to live up to my blue china," was taken up as a slogan for aesthetes all over the world, for it perfectly encapsulated the idea of the aesthetic movement. After graduation, he set himself up as a bachelor in London. He was well known for his wit and flamboyance in the social and artistic circles of the city. In 1882, Richard Cart, an American impresario, invited Wilde to North America for a lecture tour. Accepting the offer, Wilde spread the ideas of aestheticism in America and Canada. After returning to England, he delivered lectures on his impression of America and its culture. In 1884, Oscar Wilde married Constance Lloyd, the daughter of a prominent Irish barrister. Besides being known for his poems, Wilde was very well known as a playwright. His witty comedies and satires were well received. His first play, Lady Windermere's Fan, was an instant success. The manner in which it critiqued society with sheer wit greatly appealed to the audience. Despite having many plays and poems, Wilde published only one full-length novel in his life, The Picture of Dorian Gray. It was a very controversial piece of fiction. Despite being widely acclaimed in modern times, it wasn't well received by his contemporaries. Its radical ideas were said to offend the sensibilities of the British readers. It was soon pulled down from bookstores by the publisher after widespread criticism. Later in his life, Wilde became a close friend of Lord Alfred Douglas, a notable journalist and the son of an influential marquis. Douglas' father was well aware of Wilde's controversial reputation and was not pleased with their friendship. He leveled accusations against Wilde that were quite grievous in 19th century England. In retaliation to these claims, Oscar Wilde sued for defamation. Unfortunately, his case collapsed and he had to stand trial for the charges against him. Despite his brilliant defense, he was sentenced to prison and hard labor. He was released from prison after he served 2 years. The legal fees he had incurred from the court cases had left him bankrupt. He moved to France and tried to revive his career as an author. However, he published only one last work that documented his life in prison. In 1900, Oscar Wilde died of meningitis. He was laid to rest in the Père Lachaise cemetery in Paris. For his ideas and views, he was ostracized by most people of his time. But it was not in vain, for he inspired many more to be outspoken and fearless. Even long after his death, his legacy continued to be a beacon of hope. The progress that we see in society's mindset is a result of the change that was catalyzed by this illustrious individual.
So hope you guys had fun. Please like, share, and subscribe to this channel for more interesting audiobooks.